I think humanizing the journey, humanizing your willingness to talk about your journey is something that I think is very connective for you and other people. And it's something I really appreciate about you. Like, I frequently notice your willingness to be vulnerable on social and share about those peaks and the valleys. And I don't know if I comment nearly enough, but I really admire your willingness to share all about your journey, because I think it gives others permission to do the same and
For
to
sure.
have more compassion for themselves wherever they are along the way as well.
For sure. And I just think it's hard because I don't do it all the time, but I do it when I have a moment. I always say like a moment of like where I feel like a badass or something, and I'm like, okay, I could do this, right? It's almost like when I have my shield up, that and there's protection from people not attacking me, but like judging, right? And it's always in those moments of when I write vulnerable things. But I think to your point about people feeling like they have permission, or at least not feeling hopefully feeling less alone. It's because we don't talk about not making money and the months that we had to go through. We don't talk about not having the skills in our gaps, right? We don't talk about that. And I think the reason we don't talk about it, and maybe rightfully so, and I'm not saying I'm going about this the right way, but um, we have to present a different persona to, and I think what we think is, and maybe this is true, I'm not a marketing expert, but I think what we think is that if we present a messy version of ourselves online, or incomplete version online, that we are not going to be taken seriously, or we're not going to be trusted, and nobody's going to buy from us. And then that taps into that, like, well, then how am I going to have a business, and how am I going to make money, and like all of these things. And so we keep those things gated. And I think if you're not a person who doesn't want to share, okay. But if you are a person inclined to share, want to support others in that way, then, I always say, like, just share it. And as cliche as it sounds about like, everything will work out and your people will find you. I believe in that. And it's work to believe in that, because it's still a very, like, I'm still very much like getting my voice and learning that, like, I'm in the process, right? I'm not like
Yeah.
this, like, I'm not Mel Robbins, right? Like this big thought leader, but I definitely know that at my core, transparency is a value. And I think that, especially on podcasts and things like that, I always try to share the whole story. And I think that when people do tell their story, like, I made 100K in a month, what they're not saying is that they have, a longstanding corporate client, right? They have this and this and this, and they're just trying to sell this idea. It's like, no, like, I made 100, but like, I in a month, but I, have 7 years where like I was making under 20K, right? Like, and I had to go through that, and I had to, like,
Totally.
and I just think that if we hear that, less people will give up. I
Hmm.
really do believe that, Catherine. I think that if
Hmm.
people hear that, less people will give up, because people think something's wrong with them when it's not working. And I know that because I felt that,
Hmm.
and I know if I'm feeling something, like, someone else has to be feeling the same way. And I've spoken to other entrepreneurs who are in tears about not being where they want to be, and like having to go back to corporate or do other things. And it's just like, you have to just bear down, bear
Yeah.
down and get through it. You will.